YouTube, my name is Danica, and today I want to talk about some of my favorite lesbian young adult books. So right off the bat, I needed to mention a book that I've already talked about, I think, in every video, so I'm not going to go into any more depth about it, but my favorite lesbian young adult book is The Miseducation of Cameron Post by Emily M. Danforth. It's beautifully written, it's amazing. As I've said many times before, you should read it. I love it. And then there are a few kind of lesbian young adult classics that are a must if you're trying to explore that genre. So the first one is Annie on My Mind by Nancy Garden. I have this huge stack of notes at the end there because I did a really thorough review with another blogger. And it's not my favorite young adult book, it's not my favorite lesbian book, but it is definitely worth reading. I think it's a little bit dated now, but lots of people adore it. It is really cute, and it's definitely worth reading. Next are a couple that are a little bit kind of older than young adult. They're right on the brink between young adults and just regular fiction, and they're also classics of the genre. That's Ruby Fruit Jungle by Rita Mae Brown. So good. I love this book. It's still, I think, challenging and interesting even now, even though it was written in like the 80s. And I've talked about this one before too, but it's definitely worth a read if you're trying to get into the genre. And then of course there's Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson. Jeanette Winterson's one of the best known lesbian authors, and Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit was her first book. It's kind of a fictionalized story of her own childhood. I have the movie cover. There are better covers. But again, not my favorite, but still an enjoyable read, and still, Jeanette Winterson is still one of my favorite authors, so I would definitely recommend this one. Next is another well-known lesbian author, at least in the circles I travel in on the internet, and that's Melinda Lowe. There's Huntress and Ash. I don't have Ash right now because my roommate's reading it. Ash is a bisexual Cinderella retelling. It's very good, really cute. And Huntress is a really interesting book. It's a little bit bittersweet. I found the story more interesting, but I wasn't as satisfied with the ending. But both of these books are really well written, and I can't wait to read Adaptation in that series, which is bisexual sci-fi young adult. And I've heard only good things about that as well, so I'm really excited about that one. And another well-known lesbian young adult author, Julianne Peters, I picked up Far From Xanadu. This one, it's also known as something else now. Pretend You Love Me? I think that's the alternate title. It is another bittersweet book. It's about an unrequited love affair. It's the classic story of a lesbian teenager falling for a straight girl. It is bittersweet, but it's also well written, and it's also an enjoyable read. I still really liked it. And she's got lots of other ones. Keeping You a Secret is one of the big ones, and they're all kind of dramatic teenage angst, but also enjoyable. And then I thought I'd talk about some of the less well-known books. For a long time, my favorite was Hello Groin by Beth Gooby. Part of the reason I really love this book is that it has a subplot about censorship and libraries, and I love books about books. You have a lesbian book about books? Done. I can't resist that. And it's also a cute love story about falling in love with your best friend. So I really enjoyed this one. I think this would be a good one to start out with, or if you actually are a teenager, I think this would be a great one to pick up. And then I have Silhouette of a Sparrow by Molly Beth Griffin, which was one of my favorite reads last year. It's a lesbian young adult book set in the 1920s, and it's also about family, and it also has this beautiful cover that I love. It's really well written, and it's definitely one of my new favorites. I was hooked by the first couple of lines, if I may. I was born blue. Life ripped me early from my safe place and thrust me into the world. It was all so astonishing I forgot to breathe. I loved this book. And lastly is another new favorite, Starting From Here by Lisa Jen Bigelow. This book made me cry so much. It is, as you can tell, partly a dog story, and oh my god, I apparently cannot withstand sad dog stories. I was crying multiple times. I like teared up a little bit in Fault in Our Stars. Like, I've cried at a few books, but this one had me crying multiple times. I read it all basically in one sitting. I loved this book. It's a tearjerker, but it's not depressing, if that makes sense. It's another really cute one, and definitely one I'd recommend to anyone. So those are some of my favorites. I actually had even more that I could have pulled out, but I wanted to keep it a shorter stack of books. Some of them I haven't read since I was a teenager, and I want to reread and see if I still like them. A couple of them I really liked at the moment, and then realized they had some biphobic undertones. The Difference Between You and Me was one of them, by Madeline George, and The Bermuda's Triangle by Maureen Johnson. So some of those ones I want to reread and see if I'm still as enthusiastic about them. And there's lots more that I haven't gotten to yet that I also think I'm really gonna love. It's kind of my favorite genre is lesbian young adult. I work in the kids section in the bookstore I work at, and I run a lesbian book blog, so my two specialties in books are children's books and lesbian books. So when they intersect, it's perfect. I'm all about that. So let me know if there's any that I didn't talk about that you would like to recommend, or any that you're interested in reading, what you thought about any of the ones I mentioned, and thanks for watching. Bye!